Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic.
Well, you failed us today.
It's bound to happen once in a while.
You have all this information dialed in about our local area, all of it. She knows when there's an ambulance called because someone farted too hard and had a stomach ache. She knows this when this happens. She has all of this information that gets sent to her phone. And she knew that there was a jackknifed semi-truck on the highway that we needed to use to get to a warehouse to pick up some stuff that I had ordered.
Do I know the funniest part that I didn't tell you earlier?
Sure.
You asked me, do you want to go on a drive with me to go pick up my stuff? And I said, sure, like right away. I said, sure, because I knew I had nothing else going on. And then I was standing in my office and I was like, why are we going right now? It's stormy out there. We shouldn't be going right now. Right now seems like a really bad time to go. And then I was like, you're an idiot.
It's just rain.
What I'm trying to tell you is I had the aggressive feeling that we shouldn't go right then.
Well,
and look at all the bullshit we encountered.
Yeah, but the thing is what she's not telling you is, so we get on there and we're going, and we finally, it takes to go
yet.
2.25 miles. It took how long? 40 minutes?
45.
So yeah. Go ahead. You're not there yet, you said.
Right. Before we even got to the freeway, if you'll remember, there was a power outage at one of the stoplights, and Las Vegas drivers do not know how to handle that. So that was the first death trap we encountered. Then we got on the freeway, and it was complete standstill, not moving at all traffic on a Tuesday afternoon.
Well, and it's the problem. It's why I don't like those. They have them over in Henderson a lot. The really harsh angle on-ramps.
Yeah.
Because you can't see the traffic from the overpass of the highway. You can't see it because you're at an angle.
Right.
So there's just wall over there. Nothing but wall.
Right.
Whereas if it was straight, you could look over and be like, oh, look at all the traffic. Right. In any event, we get on and there's backed up traffic. And finally, after we get 2 miles into the journey, she sees the truck and she's like, oh, I saw this. I thought it was going the other direction. And I was like, oh, it would have been good if someone had said something. And then, it's funny. I generally use GPS just always, wherever I'm going. Even if I know how to get there, I use GPS. There'd even probably been a time where I would have used GPS to get back and forth from Dutch Brothers to home and home to Dutch Brothers. Just because it's what I do to avoid accidents, and that I use it more for that, for the traffic guidance. That's what I use it for. I don't really use it for how to get places. And so normally I would have used it for that because it's a far enough drive, and it would have told me not to get on.
It would have saved you 35 minutes.
Easily. Would have taken me the different way. Would have been faster. We would have gotten there quickly, gotten our stuff, gotten our ass back on the highway and come back home.
Right.
But I don't use it because it's kind of like a badge of honor that I know how to get where I'm going without having to use it.
Well, now you have to just not be a dingus that cares what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, but we have to do it with over a certain distance because it's not worth my time putting it in for every single place we go.
I think if you have to touch a freeway, you have to use GPS.
Yeah.
I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because freeway is full of accidents and busted cars and bullshit, especially here where people drive like absolute animals.
Yeah, we're on the highway and the bumper to bumper, and it literally tells you the left 3 lanes are closed. So I'm counting, and there's 4 total lanes.
And we're in
the farthest right lane. So if the left 3 lanes are closed, it means ours is the only lane open. So then people are like peeking around by going off into the like shoulder,
yeah.
The emergency lane. And then all of a sudden they use it as their own lane.
And they like built an extra lane.
And they just come cruising through there, man. They don't care.
So then some of the other drivers were like hovering over the shoulder line, trying to stop them from using it as another lane. Because like, what if an emergency?
And they would just go out on the dirt anyway.
Yeah, they just went around them on the dirt.
They didn't care.
That one SUV that blew past us, he almost hit the guardrail because he wasn't paying attention and the road really narrowed.
Oh, God. But see, that's where it becomes dangerous,
right?
Because there's not supposed to be a car there. So when you hit, you've got a full lane to go. Now he's only half a lane. He hits, he's going to cause all kinds of havoc.
Right.
That's why people are just stupid around here. They don't bother to think about what they're doing and why they shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
I mean, I've seen drivers around here do some of the stupidest things. Like, okay, I don't like this feature of driving here, but you get to a corner where it's a red light for going straight, but you got a yellow flashy go across. And it's only yellow because the other way has the green light. So you have to be careful and only go when you can go. And
you don't like that feature?
I don't like it because I feel like the other side ignores it and just keeps coming at you.
Well, they don't have a caution though. They have a full green.
I know, but they see you there for a certain distance. There's a courtesy between drivers where if you've got 3 car lengths and I'm only 2 car lengths from the turn, I get to go first because I'm closest. But they don't do that here.
They always speed up if you try to turn.
Oh my God, they do all sorts of things. These people around here, the way they drive,
they're crazy.
They're just, I don't know.
I've seen some of the worst drivers that I've ever experienced here. Specifically the one today, like he said earlier, we were in the 4th lane. There's all these asshats driving on the shoulder, and some dude from the 2nd lane decides to cut in front of Semi in lane number 3, and then us very closely to get into the shoulder to drive like the rest of the asshats. And he just had no shame. He's like, I'm shoving this big old steel death trap into your vehicle if you don't let me through.
Yeah, that's how they drive.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can go by, because I refuse to believe that they just don't care about other people. I just refuse to believe that. So I have to believe that they're drunk, high, sleepy, or all 3, or a combination of the 3.
Or they like get teleported into a magical another dimension when they get into their car, because like the people around here are super, super nice and courteous and friendly and just overall really nice.
Yeah.
And that might be, they might not be the world's nicest people, but after coming from LA, the world's rudest people, I mean, they're fantastic.
They're eons nicer than that.
But they drive worse than the Californians. So, like, driving and niceness have nothing to do with one another, apparently.
Well, yeah. But it's just different here, the way people drive. And it isn't just us that thinks that. I mean, it's why car insurance is more expensive here.
By a lot.
By a lot. I mean, it's nuts how much more expensive it is. And that's because the drivers here suck. The incidence of accidents here is much, much higher. And you're always talking about, oh, there's another accident. Oh, there's another accident. Oh, there's another accident in your little pulse point application.
There is an accident at the major intersection nearest to our house at least once a week.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly a complex intersection. They even have a dedicated turn light. Okay? That's how not complicated that intersection is.
Yeah.
And there's an accident there every week.
Well, and like, people just don't show each other any respect.
They clearly need some more of Nevada's state flower at that intersection, though.
Yeah.
That would just cause a ruckus.
That's what they call these ginormous. We've talked about it before, but for people who haven't listened, they're these huge orange cones, and they're like the size of like a tall child. They're very, very big, and
like sumo wrestler size.
And they refer to them as the Nevada state flower. It's pretty funny.
And they just put them everywhere randomly whenever they feel like it.
Well, that's the other thing that we were talking about, and we can kind of end on this note because there's not a whole lot more to be said about Bozos because Bozos be Bozos. I mean, this is
Bozos be Bozos.
Bozos be Bozos. Maybe that's the title of this episode. I don't know. Bozos be Bozos. We'll see. But oh yeah, this is the only place that I've ever been to that they plan for their road construction way ahead of time,
like months.
And they like lay these cones out, and you're like, one day you come down that way, and you're like, oh. They're going to do some road construction here. Well, that's going to suck.
And then you get to the point where the cones are irritating you to the point of ranting every day, which is like a month and a half.
Yeah, and so then you do like a month and a half, and then like 4 or 5 days, road construction, roar. And then they go away, and the cones go away, and everything's back to normal again. And you're like, I waited 6 weeks for that?
What's more infuriating than what you're talking about is the 6 weeks of cones, the 4 days of road construction, and another 6 weeks of cones while you wait for the paving company to come and take their bullshit down.
Yeah, that's a good point. So there's it takes 12 weeks of waiting time for a 4-day job.
Correct. 13-week project, only 4 days of work.
But this is why I always say, it doesn't matter who it is. When it involves government, if they're managing something, they're going to mess it up.
Well, Yogi has mandated that we go to bed now. He's looking at me like I'm crazy for still being awake.
Where's Yogi? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. He's flying. Like a little demon.
On that note, good night, everyone.
Still a bye-bye, Flying Yogi.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.